Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome aboard this Shoreline Sightseeing vessel for the 40-minute Skyline Lake Tour. We will be underway momentarily, but if I could have your attention for a few moments, I would like to discuss some safety features of the vessel you are on today. This is a United States Coast Guard inspected passenger vessel, and we do carry life jackets to be used in the event of an emergency. Adult life jackets and children's life jackets can be found just behind the wheelhouse in marked cabinets. Additional life jackets are located on the lower deck in large marked chests. Children's life jackets are for anyone under 90 pounds. In the event of an emergency, the crew will instruct you in donning a life jacket. We ask that you follow the instructions of the crew during any emergency. We must also ask for your own safety that you do not stand on any seat or bench or lean over the railings at any time. You may move about the boat, but please do so with caution. Use the handrails when using the stairs to and from the upper deck. At any time, the captain may require you to return to your seat and remain seated until told to get up. This includes departure and docking. There are heads or restrooms on board the vessel. They are located on the lower deck towards the rear of the vessel. There is a bar on board located behind the wheelhouse on the upper deck. We are serving ice-cold beverages and snacks. Please visit the bar at any time throughout the tour. Should you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to speak to one of the crew dressed in orange. Once again, welcome aboard. We now invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the tour. Welcome to Shoreline Sightseeing's famous Skyline Lake Tour along the beautiful and historic Chicago lakefront, where we will see the centerpiece of the city's beautiful 17-mile stretch of continuous shoreline parks, public attractions, and residential neighborhoods, including a bike path right on the waterline along one of the most open and publicly accessible city shorelines in the world, situated here at the southwest corner of the Great Lake, Michigan. As we tour the lake shore, we'll have a view of some of America's tallest and most distinguished buildings. You will learn the historical context in which the city and the lakefront have developed, and briefly survey the ecology of Lake Michigan itself. Welcome to Chicago, the Windy City, the Second City, City of Big Shoulders, City in a Garden, City by the Lake, the city that works. It's America's third largest city in terms of population, after New York and Los Angeles, with a current population of 2.7 million people in the city limits and about 9 million in the metropolitan area. We begin our tour at Navy Pier. Completed in 1916 as Municipal Pier Number 1, it was renamed Navy Pier in honor of naval veterans of World War I. It is now a popular recreational center, and along with Millennium Park, it's one of the top cultural attractions in Illinois, averaging over 9 million visitors every year. Attractions include the Children's Museum, the Chicago Shakespeare Theater, the Sable Hotel, dining, shopping, an amusement park, concert halls, convention space, bars, ballrooms, and of course, boat rides. One of the most prominent attractions at the pier is the Ferris Wheel, called the Centennial Wheel, because it opened on the 100th anniversary of Navy Pier in 2016. This is a new model, the DW60, designed and constructed by Dutch Wheels, the Netherlands-based company that built the pier's first wheel, considered the world's top designer and manufacturer of Ferris wheels. The state-of-the-art DW60 is the first and only one of its kind in the United States. Significant features include two-sided enclosed cars that allow for easy loading and unloading, a fortified structure to withstand winds of 115 miles an hour, and safety glass capable of weathering intense storms. The original Navy Pier Ferris Wheel was relocated to Branson, Missouri in 2016 and is still in use there today. The very first Ferris wheel ever debuted here in Chicago in 1893 at the World's Fair, also known as the World's Columbian Exposition. Designed by a bridge builder named George Washington Ferris, it was Chicago's response to the Paris World's Fair. Mr. Ferris gave Chicago and the world a moving Eiffel Tower. During the Second World War, Navy Pier was an active naval training base where pilots were trained for aircraft carriers. Trainees included the first President Bush. After the Second World War, it became the campus of the University of Illinois at Chicago into the 1960s, when it was a working commercial pier, which later fell into disuse. The present configuration opened as a cultural attraction in 1993. It was updated once more in 2015. We are heading out on the southwest corner of the Great Lake, Michigan, one of the 5 Great Lakes and the largest body of fresh water in the continental United States. The Great Lakes comprise 20% of the world's liquid fresh water. The name Michigan is believed to come from the Ojibwa word Michigami, meaning great water. The lake itself was formed along with the other 4 Great Lakes by glaciers receding northward after the end of the last ice age about 10,000 years ago. The average depth of the lake is 279 feet, with a maximum depth of 923 feet. The average depth this close to shore is about 25 feet. The lake is 307 miles long from north to south and 118 miles wide at its widest point. It is just slightly smaller than the U.S. state of West Virginia or the country of Ireland. The distance from the shoreline here straight east to the state of Michigan is about 60 miles. Lake Michigan's deepest section, which lies in its northern half, is called the Chippewa Basin, named after the prehistoric Lake Chippewa. The St. Lawrence Seaway and the Great Lakes Waterway opened the Great Lakes to ocean-going vessels. Despite their vast size, sections of the Great Lakes freeze in winter, interrupting most shipping. Icebreakers, including the United States Coast Guard vessels Morro Bay and Mackinac, break ice for an average of 120 days a year in various parts of the lakes. Eastward out into Lake Michigan, you may be able to see large round structures which many people mistake for passing ships. The closest one looks like it has a striped circus tent top. These are water intake cribs which supply the city of Chicago with drinking water from Lake Michigan. Water is collected and transported through an underground tunnel leading from the cribs to filtration plants. These tunnels are 200 feet beneath the lake bed and vary in shape from circular to oval and in diameter from 10 to 20 feet. Lake water enters the cribs and flows through these tunnels to pumps at the world's largest purification plant just north of Navy Pier. The Jardine water purification plant began functioning in 1968. Shortly thereafter, the Ohio Street Beach formed in the bay created by the plant. Together with the Eugene Sawyer water purification plant near 78th Street on the south side, it allows Chicago's Department of Water Management to deliver nearly 1 billion gallons of water to Chicagoland every single day. The beautiful landscaping around the Jardine water plant and in the adjoining Milton Lee Olive Park was designed by Dan Kiley, the same landscape architect who designed the Gateway Arch National Park in St. Louis, Missouri. west is a trapezoid-shaped skyscraper of black glass and steel, which narrows as it rises with X-like cross-bracing on the side. This is 875 North Michigan Avenue, although many Chicagoans continue to call it by its original name, the John Hancock Center. The crisscross bracing on the side of the building adds structural integrity and minimizes the need for large girders inside the structure. Like the Willis Tower and the Trump International Hotel and Tower, it was designed by the world-famous Chicago-based firm Skidmore, Owings and Merrill, who continue to specialize in the world's tallest buildings, including the current world's tallest, the Burj Khalifa Tower in Dubai. The John Hancock Center was completed in 1969. 875 North Michigan Avenue also includes an observatory on the 94th floor called 360 Chicago. The elevators to 360 Chicago are considered to be the fastest elevators in the Western Hemisphere, with a top speed of 20.5 miles per hour. 360 Chicago also includes Tilt, a panel of windows on the south side of the observatory, which hydraulically extend about 30 degrees out and over Chicago's famous skyline, offering visitors unique downward-facing views from 1,000 feet in the air. The city of Chicago itself started with one trading post in 1773, which was established by Haitian Creole fur trader Jean-Baptiste Pointe du Sable. Chicago initially grew along the main branch of the Chicago River. The Chicago River is the beginning of a system of rivers and canals which connect Lake Michigan to the Mississippi River, allowing vessels to continue by water all the way to the Gulf of Mexico. The river was first discovered for Europe in 1673 by Louis Joliet and Jesuit missionary Jacques Marquette, French and French-Canadian explorers charged with the mission of mapping the Great Lakes for the Kingdom of France. They started in Montreal, Quebec, and came down the St. Lawrence River into the Great Lakes, determined to get to the Mississippi River and the Gulf of Mexico. Prior to the discovery of the Chicago River system, they would stop up north at what is now Green Bay, Wisconsin, and carry their canoes and supplies across Wisconsin to get to the Mississippi. The Chicago River portage proved a much easier and more direct trade route. The natives in the area at this time included the Fox, Potawatomi, and Sauk nations. Chief Blackhawk of the Sauk Nation is the namesake for the Chicago Blackhawks hockey team. Chicago is thought to be the French derivation of the indigenous word Chicagois, roughly translated as portage of the wild onion or land of the stinking onion. Chicago was incorporated as a town in 1833 and as a city in 1837 when its population reached 4,000. In 1848, Chicago got its first telegraph and railroad. Two innovations, grain elevators and the Board of Trade's wheat grading standards, quickly transformed the way crops were sold. By 1854, the city was the world's largest grain port and had more than 30,000 residents, many of them European immigrants. The growth of the city was rapid and haphazard and ultimately contributed to the Great Chicago Fire, which over 3 days in October of 1871 destroyed 1/3 of the downtown area, including most of what can be seen here on our tour. This large urban fire attracted architects who came to Chicago to rebuild the city out of the ashes. This is the origin of Chicago's nickname as the Second City. Through the innovation of these architects, Chicago established its reputation as a world leader in architecture, a reputation that it holds to today. Looking out at the lake, along the breakwater wall which borders and protects the harbor is the historic Chicago Harbor Lighthouse. It was completed originally in 1893 and located near the World's Fair in Jackson Park, further south. The lighthouse was moved to its current location in 1919, situated to direct boaters to the opening of the Chicago River. The light is an active aid to navigation and unfortunately not open to the public. It became automated in 1979 and was designated as a Chicago landmark in 2003. Within half a generation after the Great Chicago Fire of 1871, Chicago architect and engineer William LeBaron Jenney perfected the iron frame technology that would allow for the skyscraper. The term skyscraper was first used to refer to the small sails set high atop the masts of clipper ships, but then was later applied to iron frame buildings. To the west, the tall, curved blue glass skyscraper with the tall white spire is the Trump International Hotel and Tower, designed by native-born Chicago architect Adrian Smith. An upscale residential tower and hotel, it stands 1,389 feet with 98 stories, and it opened in 2009. The spire atop Trump Tower counts in the official height of the building. Spires are considered part of a building structure, whereas antennae, like on the Willis or Sears Tower, are not considered part of the building and therefore do not count in official height. You may remember the final confrontation scene between Batman and the Joker in the 2008 film The Dark Knight. It was shot at the construction site of the then partially completed Trump Tower. Later, the tower was also one of the key locations used for the 2011 film Transformers: Dark of the Moon. From here we have a view of some of America's most majestic buildings. The tall white rectangular building with what appear to be white vertical stripes is the Aon Center. It was completed in 1973, originally for Standard Oil. It was designed by Perkins and Will. The Aon Center stands 1,136 feet and has 83 stories and is currently Chicago's fourth tallest building. Although 875 North Michigan Avenue, or the Hancock Center, technically has 100 stories, the top quarter of the Hancock Tower is comprised of residential floors. These tend to be shorter than office floors, so Aon is in fact taller than Hancock. In May 2018, the owners unveiled a $185 million proposal for an observatory atop the Aon Center. The observatory will feature a thrill ride called Sky Summit, with an external elevator system which will be the tallest and fastest in the country. It is set to open in 2022. The Willis Tower, formerly known as the Sears Tower, is the black rectangle of glass and steel with two white broadcast antennae on top, due west of Grant Park. It was the tallest building in the world from its completion in 1974 until 1998. It has 110 stories and measures 1,451 feet in the air. It includes an observatory on the 103rd floor called the Sky Deck. The Sky Deck is open every day from 9:30 a.m. until 10 o'clock p.m. and features a glass protrusion on the western side called the Ledge, where visitors can step out and look straight down through their feet. The inspiration for the Ledge came from hundreds of forehead prints visitors left behind on Sky Deck windows every week. From the memorable scene in the John Hughes film Ferris Bueller's Day Off to curious children going right up to the window, visitors are constantly trying to catch a glimpse below. Now, thanks to the Ledge, they have a unique way to do so. The internal structure of the Willis Tower is actually a series of 9 columns of differing heights brought together for strength and flexibility. Each column is 75 feet square. Bundled together, they are stronger than one tall single column, much like how a bundle of sticks clutched together is harder to snap in half than a single stick. This design innovation is the template for today's tallest buildings. The tall, pink, octagonal building to the left or south of Willis Tower with the cylindrical top is named by its address, 311 South Wacker Drive. At 961 feet tall, it was once the tallest reinforced concrete building in the world. The top of the building is a 105-foot tall translucent cylinder surrounded by 4 other smaller cylinders. This makes it among the most visible Chicago skyscrapers at night, as its crown is brightly illuminated. At its debut in 1990, the 5 cylinders on top were lit by fluorescent tubes. These have since been replaced by LED lights, which allow the bulbs to be dimmed or changed in color for holidays and special events. For a complete detailed tour of Chicago's world-famous downtown architecture, Shoreline Sightseeing offers 75-minute Chicago River architecture tours from February through December. Visit our box office for more information or visit shorelinesightseeing.com. Distinctive diamond-shaped roof, now called the Purification Skyline, was completed in 1984. Design developers discovered that ice would form on the slanted roof and break off and fall onto the sidewalk below. Heating pipes had to be installed to melt the ice and prevent accidents. The building became well known for its use in the climax scene of the classic Chicago film Adventures in Babysitting. The city's 17-mile shoreline park system was inspired by architect Daniel Burnham's city plan of 1909, in which he pledged that the city would keep its original promise that the lakefront should remain forever open, free, and clear, so that all citizens could enjoy the beautiful lake shore without interference from industrial development. Since the 1830s, the official motto of Chicago has been Urbs in Ordo, Latin for city in garden. For its commitment to green space and parking. Chicago has 4 major lakefront parks: Burnham Park and Jardine. South of Museum Campus is Burnham Harbor, named after the famed Chicago architect and city planner Daniel Burnham. Part of the visible shoreline is in fact landfill, which has been built out into the relatively shallow lakefront starting after the Great Chicago Fire of 1871. The burned-out remains of the downtown were dumped into the lake, creating the base for today's lakefront parks. The landfill does not consist of domestic trash, but is mostly soil, sand, and construction debris. Michigan Avenue represents the original natural shoreline of Lake Michigan. Chicago's Museum Campus is a 57-acre addition to Grant Park's southeastern end. Museum Campus is the site of 3 of the city's most notable museums, all dedicated to the natural sciences: the Adler Planetarium, the Shedd Aquarium, and the Field Museum of Natural History. The Field Museum was established with a generous grant from the family of Chicago retailer Marshall Field and includes Sue, the largest and most complete Tyrannosaurus rex yet discovered. A narrow isthmus along Solidarity Drive connects Northerly Island to the rest of Museum Campus situated on the mainland. The dome-shaped structure out on the tip of Northerly Island is the Adler Planetarium. It houses the Down Observatory, one of the only research-active urban observatories open to the public. Beyond Museum Campus to the south is Soldier Field, home of the 1986 Super Bowl champion Chicago Bears football team. Opened in 1924 as Municipal Grant Park Stadium, it was renamed Soldier Field in honor of Army veterans of World War I. Soldier Field has served as the home venue for a number of other sports teams throughout history, including the Chicago Cardinals of the NFL, the University of Notre Dame football team, and the Chicago Fire of Major League Soccer. Soldier Field has also hosted games from the 1994 FIFA World Cup. The Chicago Cardinals used it as their home field for their final football season in Chicago in 1959. A dozen years later, in September of 1971, the Chicago Bears moved in. They previously played at Wrigley Field, best known as the home of the Chicago Cubs. The interior of the stadium underwent extensive renovation in 2002. Soldier Field is the oldest NFL stadium in the United States. In 1893, Chicago played host to the World's Columbian Exposition, a World's Fair to commemorate Columbus's arrival in the Western Hemisphere. The fair took place on the south shore of Lake Michigan at what is now Jackson Park. This is where the fair's chief designer, Daniel Burnham, designed the White City campus for the center of the fair to resemble an ancient Greek or Roman city. But Burnham had a rival also designing for the fair, Louis Sullivan. Sullivan thought that Burnham was old-fashioned and encouraged his peers to use contemporary engineering and themes taken from nature and the surrounding prairie. Ultimately, both Burnham and Sullivan were to have a lasting influence on the Chicago skyline. Grant Park is home to Millennium Park and contains performance venues, gardens, artwork, sporting events, and harbor facilities. It hosts public gatherings such as Taste of Chicago and several large annual music events like jazz, gospel, and blues fests, as well as the Lollapalooza Music Festival. Millennium Park is our newest lakefront park, and it opened in 2004. It includes the Pritzker Concert Pavilion, designed by the world-class architect Frank Gehry, the Lurie Gardens, and the Beam, officially titled Cloudgate, an interactive bean-shaped public sculpture designed by Indian-born British artist Anish Kapoor. That is the centerpiece of the AT&T Plaza at Millennium Park and one of the most popular pieces of public art in the Midwest. Because Millennium Park sits atop a parking garage and the commuter rail Millennium Station, it is considered the world's largest rooftop garden. We continue along the shoreline of the Great Lake Michigan, largest body of fresh water in the continental United States. Water temperatures on Lake Michigan make it into the 60s in July and August, and can sometimes make it into the 70s when air temperatures have been in the 90s for a number of continuous days. Trout, salmon, walleye, and smallmouth bass are prevalent in the lake. The lake is also home to crawfish, freshwater sponges, and sea lamprey, a saltwater eel that entered the Great Lakes through the St. Lawrence Seaway. The lake is also home to a wide range of bird populations, including water birds such as ducks, geese, and swans, as well as crows, robins, and bald eagles. Predatory birds such as hawks and vultures are also prevalent on the lake due to the wealth of wildlife to feast upon. People often ask about tides on Lake Michigan. True tides, changes in the water level caused by the gravitational forces of the sun and moon, do occur on the Great Lakes. However, these changes are minuscule compared to the effects of the wind or barometric anomalies known as seiches. Consequently, the Great Lakes are considered to be non-tidal. Like all of the Great Lakes, Lake Michigan has had its share of shipwrecks. One of the most famous maritime disasters was the sinking of the Westmoreland, a steamer that sank near the Straits of Mackinac on December 7, 1854. It was rumored to be laden with priceless barrels of whiskey and a safe full of gold coins. The wreck was discovered by a diver on July 7, 2010, 155 years after the accident, in excellent condition. Sadly, exploration of the wreck so far has yielded no such treasures. During the Second World War, when Navy Pier was an active naval training base, pilots were trained in the art of taking off from and landing onto boats. Two Great Lakes steamer ships, the Wolverine and the Sable, were converted to ready young pilots for the new technology of aircraft carriers. As a result, the lake bottom is littered with planes who missed the boat. Since this is a freshwater lake, the planes do...
Get off the railing, please. Thank you.
Often retrieves these wrecks, which are more easily restored for museum display. Like the other Great Lakes, Lake Michigan is still used as a major mode of transport for bulk cargo. Commercial cargo ships are a common sight on the Great Lakes. Transportation of cargoes such as grain, sand, and coal serve the region's farmers and manufacturers. The Port of Chicago, operated by the Illinois International Port District, is located further south down the western shore of Lake Michigan at Lake Calumet. The largest Great Lakes freighters, or Lakers, are massive and can carry more than 70,000 tons of cargo in a single voyage. Stood on end, these ships would be as tall as a 100-story building. Ships offer the most efficient means of transporting large quantities of cargo. For example, the largest Great Lakes vessels can transport the same cargo as 700 rail cars or 2,800 trucks. Immediately south of Navy Pier is the Chicago Harbor Lock, completed in 1938. The lock separates the lake and the Chicago River. After the reversal of the Chicago River in 1900, the lake began emptying into the river, and Chicago became responsible for carefully controlling the amount of water flowing from Lake Michigan into the Chicago River. To this end, the river is kept lower than the lake. The lock features a set of gray steel double doors on either end, creating the chamber within which the water level is adjusted. Higher heading out to the lake, lower heading back in. The lock is managed by the United States Army Corps of Engineers and is one of the two entrances from the Great Lakes to the Chicago area waterway system. The other entrance is the Thomas J. O'Brien Lock and Dam on the Calumet River. The Chicago Harbor Lock is the fourth busiest lock in the nation for commercial use and the second busiest for recreational boat traffic. As we turn down the fairway, ahead of us you can see a shimmering, wavy blue glass building with 3 setbacks. This is the brand new St. Regis Hotel, originally named Vista Tower, created by Jeannie Gang, a local Chicago architect. It is now Chicago's 3rd tallest skyscraper. The St. Regis is the tallest skyscraper in the world, designed by a female-led architecture firm, and includes an innovative blow-through section to minimize the effect of the wind on the building. As we make our way back to our dock at Navy Pier, we'd like to thank you for riding with us today. Shoreline Sightseeing also offers award-winning 75-minute architecture river tours down all 3 branches of the Chicago River, as well as water taxi service from the Willis Tower and Union Station, Michigan Avenue, and Museum Campus. See our ticket booth for more information or visit shorelinesightseeing.com. Come back and visit us again real soon and enjoy Chicago.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are just about back to our dock here at Navy Pier. So at this time, I'd like to ask if you're standing to please find a seat. Find a seat, remain seated. I'll let you know when it's safe to stand up and disembark. But until then, for your safety, please remain seated. Thank you. Hold on to those seats for just another moment here, folks, as Blue Dog settles into the dock and the crew get the ramp across. Now's a good time to take a look around. Make sure you have all your personal belongings. Thank you guys for riding with Shoreline Sightseeing, and enjoy the rest of your night here at Navy Pier.